Minister of Finance makes presentation on the SSRP and the payroll support. Member of Parliament for the PFP responds to Minister of Finance presentation and wants to know about the entities such as the St. Martin Medical Center and the SLS. But first up, Thailand workers demand a forensic audit. Those are the headlines for Thursday, June 25th, 2020. This is SXM Daily News. I'm Valerie Van Putten. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. And as usual, we have a packed newscast for you, so let's get started. In our first story, a large crowd of Thailand workers, along with their union president, gathered outside of the Parliament building on Thursday morning, demanding a forensic audit. President of Parliament, the Honourable Rolando Bryson, addressing the Thailand workers, told them that after speaking with the Prime Minister about the issue, he was told that indeed the audit will be conducted. Member of Parliament, the Honourable Claudius Bonkamper, told the crowd of Thailand workers that united they will stand and divided they will be conquered. He said an audit is expensive and long, but it will reveal the truth. Meanwhile, former Thailand employee and now Member of Parliament, the Honourable Krisha Halliger-Martin, told the gathering that she knows what they are going through.
Your question very directly. We did receive the letter about the forensic audit. I myself and your former colleague, who was also someone from Thailand, spoke directly to the Prime Minister about this issue of the SOAB audit. We were told that indeed the audit is going to be conducted. Okay? What I will do now, I would like some of the union members to come in with me. Right now, I know the Prime Minister is in with the other unions. I will try to interrupt that meeting to ask her to answer that question that you're asking me. When? Okay? We need to get that.
I told you once and I'll tell it to you today again. United, you will stand. Divided, you will be conquered. You understand? Now, an audit, a forensic audit, is two things. It's long and expensive, but it will divulge the truth. Yes. I went through it, so I can tell you how it works. Got a telescope right up. I went through it in government. Gotta say I was a bad boy. And I'm still dealing with them. But at the end of the day, it will at least show the truth. It will show if you did it, you will have to explain what you did.
That's right! That's right! Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, everyone. You are all preaching to this choir. I know that. I was in that seat with you, so you don't have to tell me what you're going through. I know what you're going through. I personally went to the PM, to the Prime Minister, with a letter stating that if you can't get this done, we pass a motion to get it done. She assured me that it is by her SG being processed. So we're going to now find out how far it is. I was going to give her the benefit of the doubt until Wednesday, Thursday to find out how far she is. And yes, exactly like my MP Bonkamper stated, let's wait and see what the audit says. Facts. We're all about facts. Let's fact check them. Okay? I don't care how much it costs. It needs to be done. And then let's document the truth.
And after the meeting with Prime Minister, the St. Martin Communications Union President Lucian Avers spoke to his members. He told them that the Council of Ministers approved the forensic audit and it now has to be communicated to the Board of Directors in order for them to start the execution.
We let Parliament know what the sentiment of the people are and why the forensic audit is a priority and an urgency. And we receive answer from the Prime Minister while we're in the meeting. He was texting the Prime Minister that Tuesday gone, the Council of Ministers approved the forensic audit. So now it has to be communicated to the Board of Directors in order for they to start the execution. So we will find out now from the board when the Prime Minister communicated to them in order for me to let you all know precisely what day this forensic audit is going to start to take place. They're also going to call the group of management in and today to ask them the reason why they disrespect us in that fashion by calling us African descendants. Yes, that's telling us that's none of your business. Telling you that the money that's being spent, it is none of your business. But the money that's being spent is what have us today in this situation.
And in other news at this time, at the urgent plenary session of Parliament held on Wednesday, June 24th, Member of Parliament, the Honourable Christophe Emanuel, asked the Minister of Finance, the Honourable Ardwell Edion, if he had met with the unions. According to the Member of Parliament, the Minister replied that it is only about liquidity, so we have no reason to meet with the unions. The Member of Parliament feels that if the Minister had only sat down with the unions, we would not be in this predicament today.
Protesting that we are having right now, and in Curaao seems to have taken it to a different level or up to a different notch. But Mr. Chairman, I am not going to labor the point as much. And I remember when we first started this discussion, especially on this topic, and I asked the minister, Mr. Chairman, have you met with the unions? I said that about what? How long ago? And the response was, oh, there's no liquidity, so we have no reason to meet with the unions. Look where we are today. This could have all been avoided. Mr. Chairman, if the minister had simply sat down and had a conversation, frankly, with the unions from the onset in the beginning. Mr. Chairman, I want to get directly into the questions because I don't want to prolong it too long. So I just want to ask through you, Mr. Chairman, to the Honorable Minister, can the minister verify if the Committee of Civil Servant Unions has submitted a formal response to the government indicating their agreement to the measures that have been under negotiation? And if such a response is available, can Parliament be provided with such? Mr. Chairman, I see the letter that came out from the Minister of Finance, and in that letter it indicated that an agreement has been reached with the unions. Thus the question that I'm asking, because from what I'm hearing from the unions, they are saying that the last discussion they had with the government was May 28th. So I'm asking the Honourable Minister, can he provide that agreement that they have reached with the union?
And Member of Parliament, the Honourable William Marlon, spoke of the letter given to government. He said that somewhere down the line, there seems to be a fallout in communication. What exactly is the fallout in communication?
Given government the opportunity to respond by June 30th, and you're demonstrating now for some 3 days or 4 days, the question is, what exactly is the fallout in communication? So I would like to urge the government, and particularly the Minister of Finance, to close off whatever discussions that the government and or the minister would have with these unions, come to clear-cut agreements, because the letter that the unions signed on the 1st of June said, repayment of deferred vacation allowance. Your Excellency, we as unions, Windward Islands, Civil Servant, etc., we have considered and discussed your proposal with our members entailing a deferral of 50% of the vacation allowance in 2020 and 2021, repayment of the deferred vacation allowance by means of payment of vacation allowance at the rate of 125% in 2022 until 2025. We are acting on behalf of our members, accept the above mentioned proposals under the express condition that said proposal is ratified in an LBHAM. Furthermore, the LBHAM to be issued by June 30th, 2020 should also stipulate that members who by then would have retired, passed away, left public service, or promoted to another function will also receive the vacation allowance due to them, or in case of death, to their relatives.
And Member of Parliament for the United Democrats, Mrs. Saroja Scott Williams, also concurred with her colleague that there seems to be a breakdown of communication. The Member of Parliament said that what the minister needs to do is explain to the employees what exactly they are entitled to.
So, Minister, if I understand your presentation correctly, now the government has agreed, not the Netherlands. The Netherlands has put forward conditions, and the government of St. Martin has agreed to these conditions. So now we got the scaling contribution for payroll assistance. So if I understand your presentation and your releases and your statements well, the maximum right now is 70%. No, not 70%. If you have a 70% decrease in revenue, your maximum is 60% of your wages. In addition to that, then the employee has to contribute 20%. So, Minister, what you need to be doing right now is explaining the employee, the worker, what he or she is entitled to under these conditions. And then the government as an employer, so the ones employing the civil servants, and by extension, all others who fall under the similar conditions or the same conditions like the civil servants. And Minister, I cannot but concur with the statements. I was not in the official meeting with the unions, but I look forward to being in an official meeting with the unions and hearing directly from them their experiences. Because what do even I, as a member of parliament, see and read day after day is the government communicating via the media with its employees. And then the unions react to government via letter, social media. We hear different statements. But if there's one thing clear, is that there is a total breakdown in communication, understanding between the government as an employer and their employees.
And in this item out of the island of Curaao, the authorities on that island have detained several persons involved in a series of destruction during a protest on Wednesday. At the time of the manifestation, some individuals decided to destroy various properties, including police vehicles. Many of the protesters were caught on video cameras as well, breaking into electronic stores while looting valuables from the establishments. Some persons also set fire to various locations in the city, which has led to the government closing down Willemstad and putting a curfew in place. Reporter Gonzalo Quales reports.
You have to say on one hand, okay, there was destruction, there was police cars being burned down, and of course a lot of destruction of public property, benches and stands and so on were destroyed. But on the other hand, and of course a couple of cases of looting, which is something that will come up whenever those involved in those kind of living, of course, were looking out to see the opportunities where there will be no control nor police. And they assaulted pretty much 2 stores selling cell phones. That was the main target. Cell phones, TV, large screen, LCD screens and so on, sound equipment. Some of them even brought an oven, a total oven out of one of those stores Some of them carried those, put them aside, hopefully waiting for a truck or something to take them away. But the authorities were very rapidly there. And even at a store in Salinas, they were able to put a hand on the 5 individuals who perpetrated this break-in in this store and had lots of electronic equipment with them. But of course, they could not leave the scene while they were doing this. The authorities got there and arrested all of them.
And in news out of the Netherlands, some 400 people were arrested in The Hague on Sunday in a day of protests against the coronavirus measures, police said on Sunday evening. The arrests were mainly made after police moved in to clear demonstrators from the Malieveld near the city's main railway station. The rally had been banned by acting Mayor Johan Remkes last week, a decision that was upheld in court on Friday last. Nevertheless, despite the ban, hundreds of people gathered at the Malieveld early on Sunday afternoon. Remkes did agree to allow a small rally to go ahead on the condition it would be over by 1:30 in the afternoon and that demonstrators kept their distance from each other. The atmosphere, which had been largely positive, turned when groups of men, some chanting, "We are Nederland," first joined the demonstration and then later headed into the town center, which had been sealed off by police. Police brought in water cannons and horses to clear the crowds, telling one couple with a young child, "You had better leave. Not everyone is here with good intentions," the Volkskrant newspaper reported. And still to come, Member of Parliament for the PSP responds to the Minister of Finance presentation and wants to know about the entities such as the St. Martin Medical Center and the SLS. We'll have the details of that story and more when SXM Daily News returns.
GEBE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering a brighter future.
Our friend Megawati is here with tips to save you energy. 1. Turn your airco temperature up. 2. Use a ceiling fan instead. 3. Buy energy-saving products. Save some green with NVGEBE.
And as we continue now with more news, the urgent plenary public session of Parliament regarding a status update on the SSRP, the assistance programs of the SSRP, and the COVID-19 liquidity assistance from the Netherlands, and the conditions tied to this assistance was convened yesterday. The Minister of General Affairs and the Minister of Finance was in attendance. The agenda points that were discussed were the status update on the SSRP and the assistance programs of the SSRP, and further COVID-19 liquidity assistance from the Netherlands and the conditions tied to this assistance dated June the 16th, 2020. This meeting was requested by Member of Parliament S.A. Westcott Williams, MP M.D. Gumbs, and MP C.A. Buncamper. Minister of Finance, the Honorable Arwad Irion, made a presentation on the SSRP and payroll support for businesses.
Payroll support for the businesses that are impacted, income support for sole proprietors, vendor license holders, bus and independent taxi drivers, income support for COVID-19 unemployment, liquidity support for the government, which totaled for a budget of $258 million for 3 months, 1 quarter, and COVID-19 liquidity loans from the Netherlands in the amount of 20 million guilders and 24 million for expenses. The measures for payroll support. When we created this program, The main thing for this program was minimizing the amount of job loss or unemployment increase due to COVID-19. So the idea was to keep job retention and obviously to avoid having a huge economic impact on our economy and individuals. The initial plan for government, which we have implemented for the first 2 months, was a 3-tier program where you had 3 categories. If you had 80 to 100% loss in income or revenue, then we would supply 80% of payroll. If you had 50 to 80% loss in revenue, then we would support your payroll with 70%. And if you had 20 to 50% loss in revenue, we would support your payroll with 60%.
Member of Parliament, the Honorable Claudius Boncamper, responded on the Minister's payroll support for businesses.
When I look at the SSRP and I just saw the presentation, I tried as fast as I could to take some notes of, for example, how much companies applied, how much were approved, how much were rejected, how much people basically got funding through these programs, but I was not fast enough. But nevertheless, I hope we can get the presentation later on to peruse so that we can still get to the direct questions if need be after the meeting. But Mr. Chairman, at this point in time, listening to a lot of people also that have called me and even asked me, why don't I do a live stream, very specifically on this because of the amount of open-ended questions that are not clear to people. I myself, Mr. Chairman, as a parliamentarian, I have question marks on certain events and certain things within the SSRP. Many employees, Mr. Chairman, and to the Minister, I will send you all my questions after I present my questions so you don't have to take notes. Despite the plans to assist businesses through the SSRP, many employees in the private sector complain and they believe that companies are receiving monies, more monies than they are paying their employees, and it is creating a serious friction. Now, I understand we were informed that the Landsbestuur doesn't allow government to release the names of the people that or the companies that have gotten money and how much they have gotten, and that's going to be done now. We understood from the chairman today in the meeting with the unions that that's being looked at right now so that those names can be released.
Then, Member of Parliament for the PFP party, the Honorable Melissa Gumbs, also responded to the Minister's support for businesses. The Member of Parliament wanted to know if the entities such as the St. Martin Medical Center and SLS are also impacted by the cost-cutting measures.
But as a general question, Minister, entities such as SMMC, SLS, etc., are they also impacted by the required cost-cutting conditions? Because I've gotten that question a few times, but it's not entirely clear. And also, in an email dated June 9th, I believe, from SZV's SSRP team to businesses that have requested support from the plan, they were reminded that they have agreed to an audit in connection with their request for business support. The email mentions that the business has shared this information and have voluntarily agreed to have it shared with SZV, the Tax Inspectorate, and Audit Team St. Martin ATS, and that these entities have the right to verify accuracy of the information or to perform an audit after the fact, I assume after they have received funding, and based on the findings, make adjustments to the contribution from the SSRP. So I have a few questions about this, Minister. Have the tax office, SZV, and ATS already scheduled or commenced with these audits? If so, are they working together to verify that there's been total compliance and transparency from all companies requesting SSRP support? What consequences are put in place if, based on these audits, the persons did not provide accurate information? So will there be fines according to certain policies, or has government put something specific in place? I ask because we're now in June, so I would assume that now is the time for adjustments to begin being made, but if the audits haven't taken place, I cannot see that happening. And finally, Minister, I'm not sure about my colleagues, but I have been approached multiple times by persons in the community who state that they're uncertain if their employer has been forthcoming with them about whether or not they receive payroll support. People have been let go, paid out minimum amounts of their salaries, and told flat out that they were rejected for stimulus support. This, as you can imagine, I believe is what drove the demand for the list of recipients to be made public. And I understand through your presentation today that that regulation is being changed to allow for this list to be shared as of June. So my questions for that are, will this list include the full list of companies that have received support from the SSRP since its actual launch? And in the event this list is published and it is discovered that there are employers who received but maybe did not pay to whom they had to their employees, what consequences would they then face?
Now, turning to our weather forecast for June the 25th, 2020. Low-level moisture associated with a nearby weak tropical wave may produce patches of clouds and a few passing showers. While the Atlantic high-pressure system maintains an easterly yet brisk wind flow across the region, also varying concentrations of Saharan dust will continue to affect the Eastern Caribbean. Persons with allergies and/or respiratory illnesses are again reminded that they should continue to take the necessary precautions. Seas are expected to peak at 7 feet during the next few days. Small craft operators and sea bathers should exercise caution. So the outlook through Saturday midday, partly cloudy, hazy, and breezy with a few passing showers possible. Now let's turn to your 3-day forecast. And still to come, Member of Parliament for the United Democrats questions the Minister of Finance on the payroll support for businesses. I'll have the details to that story when SXM Daily News returns.
Make use of WIB mobile banking with easy access and direct usage of face recognition, PIN code, or fingerprint. Download WIB mobile banking app and make your transaction from anywhere at any time. For more information, visit wib-bank.net/quick-login.
And as we end this edition of SXM Daily News for this evening, at the urgent plenary public session of Parliament to discuss the SSRP and the assistance program, Member of Parliament for the United Democrats, Mrs. Saroja Scott Williams, also questioned the Minister of Finance on the payroll support.
I want to begin with some of the closing slides of the minister, and very specifically the one in which the minister indicated that the necessary legislation is now being prepared in order to legalize the different actions being taken by government. This would suggest, unless the minister can prove otherwise, that what is presently being undertaken by government lacks, in many instances, a legal basis. Does the minister agree that where, for example, with the business sector, he has asked businesses to voluntarily agree when applying for assistance that their names can be published, but voluntarily does not do away with the necessary legal basis that is supposed to be there? Does the minister agree with this statement?
And with that, viewers, brings us to the end of this edition of SXM Daily News for this evening. I'm Valerie Van Putten, and just a reminder, this and other programs are available online. Simply log on to stmartinmediacenter.com for viewing. And on behalf of the SXM Daily News team, we thank you for watching and plan on meeting you right back here again tomorrow.